A Neighbor's Choice. Welcome to A Neighbor's Choice, the most electrifying show in media. I'm your host, David Gornoski. So glad to be with you all once again as we dive into the news. Happy to have this time with you. We do radio, we do podcasts, we do video stream, wherever you're finding us. Make sure you make your home destination neighborschoice.com to learn about the news, to learn about the economy, to learn about health and nutrition, and even science. We do it all. We're like an old school kind of program where you get a variety of different information, not just the same cookie cutter. What did this politician say? What was this gaffe? What was this scandal? So boring, so tired of that low resolution way of looking at events. But that's why we're here today. We're here to roll up our sleeves as neighbor, to solve problems. And that's exactly what we're going to try to do on this program today. We're live, and you can visit neighborschoice.com or any of our other platforms on podcasts and so forth to continue to enjoy a kind of society where we can have a free conversation, a free and open discussion, not driven into a kind of tit-for-tat rivalry in which we can not look forward to a common vision, but are rather fixated and obsessed with defeating a rival for all-encompassing power. Doesn't that sound like what we see in politics today? No common vision, just fixation on our political rivals. You know, everything that you hear from politicians is all about, well, I was trying to do something good, but this team got in the way. It's never about a common vision that actually is a win-win solution. It's always about divvying up loot for some kind of program that some other faction just can't seem to figure out how to do it right. And that just distracts us. It's good for entertainment. You know, it's a kind of entertaining thing. But it's not very helpful as it pertains to solving problems in the real world. So, you know, one of the things I want to take a quick look at is, well, first, I've got two topics that I kind of explore a little bit together. One is there's, of course, the low-resolution conversation of who is going to be Joe Biden's vice president. They're doing kind of a weekend at Bernie's cell with Biden where you don't see him. Oh, my goodness, Drudge Report just said the pick is in. Biden Veep announcement imminent. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. This is like our favorite television program, politics. Wow, it's so excited to see. And that's exactly what they want. It's like entertainment. It's like pro wrestling. I've always said that politics is like pro wrestling. And, oh my goodness, CNN, which is like a DNC PR firm, just said, breaking news, Representative Karen Bass was told by Joe Biden that she is not his VP pick, a source says. Oh my, wow, this is like Survivor. It's like where Joe Biden says, who are you? Come up. I want to tell you, you are not the final pick. And it's like a dating game. Oh my goodness, that's got to be bigoted if that's what he just did. You know, calling people up, making them all excited, thinking they're going to be in line to run the second-in-command position of the biggest empire the world has ever known. Get that call, and all of a sudden, nope, sorry, you're not in. I hope he's not doing it that way. She is the chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus. So I don't understand. Is Biden being, is he being discriminatory by doing that? I don't know. We'll see who is the lucky contestant. Who's it going to be? So we're going to find out who the vice president pick is for the low resolution story. But the bigger, more important story that I want to ask you about today, for those listening and watching, whatever, is what does America's foreign policy stand for? What does America's foreign policy stand for? Because whoever's the vice president pick, of course, a big, big area will be their foreign policy. So what do you have? We've got these rich, really rich bankers' kids in Portland and places around the country. Very wealthy, decadent, college-educated kids dressing up like the bad guys from Ninja Turtles with the ninja outfits, all black and all that. And they're really concerned about opposing fascism. And that's why they attack and scream in the ears of grandmothers, as you can see online, and pour paint on their faces. This is the hallmark. And of course, the media always covers for them because they're useful in their ideological worship of the state. They want a victim-garbed denomination of state power. They don't want a classical, traditional winners versus, winners are the best. And, they want to dress their state power in victim language. So you've got these folks like Antifa attacking grandmothers, screaming in their ears, pouring paint on their faces, being very nasty, bigoted fascists. And they're doing all this to tear down the power, to resist the power. And who are they going to go vote for? Most of them are going to go vote for Joe Biden and his VP pick. And what are they going to do? These little rich banker kids who think they stand for social justice are going to go vote and endorse someone who's got a long, long, impeccable track record of going into poor countries and just tearing them apart on behalf of special interests and wannabe gods in the State Department and in D.C. That's who the glory of the resistance is going to go and get their cathartic release in the ballot box and put their name and put their click or whatever their voting method is. They're going to say, I am going to vote and hire Joseph Biden and his soon-to-be-revealed VP pick, even though I know they've got a long and impeccable track record of destroying the aspirations and wealth and lives of poor people all over the globe. One of the people that's in the running is Susan Rice, who made a mess destroying places like Libya, destroying places like Syria, destroying the poverty-stricken folks there, ruining people who had some wealth before she did the bidding of the special interests of the Obama administration and their corporatist allies. Then you got people like Kamala Harris, who gleefully laughs at jailing parents for arresting their kids. Jailing parents for having their kids out of school, right? She gleefully laughs at that. She gleefully laughs and is excited about her long record of imprisoning nonviolent folks for long, torturous sentences. Okay? But this is a person, so whoever we'll see who it is. Then you got Elizabeth Warren. What's she going to do? You think she's going to stop the pillaging of poor people around the globe? No, she's going to do exactly what Clinton and Obama and Biden and all that little team has always done, which is to sell you Mickey Mouse social justice rhetoric and then pillage poor people and destroy people of color all over the globe on behalf of the bigots in the special interest crony corporatists that they support. That's what we'll find out in just a moment. We'll continue live on A Neighbor's Choice.
A lawsuit is not something that anyone looks forward to. It's a stressful process. There are attorneys in Tampa Bay that keep clients well informed, creating less stress. That law firm is Catania. Personal injury law is defended by full disclosure. There is no guessing game. If it's an auto accident, medical malpractice, nursing home negligence, unsafe working conditions, or motorcycle accidents. The law firm of Catania will handle the process worry-free from start to finish. Many victims don't realize they have a claim for their loss until they talk to Catania. They only represent private individuals and treat every case as if it's going to trial. Putting families first is more than just a slogan. It's their way of practicing law. It's a commitment to you. Remember, they don't get paid if you don't get paid. So go to Catania.com. Over 28 years in practice. Catania, personal injury, auto, and motorcycle accident attorneys. Catania, putting families first.
Office Tampa. Not attorney spokeswoman.
Not ready to go to your favorite seafood restaurant? Get the highest quality fish for less, delivered straight to your door by Fast Fresh Seafood. Order our fresh hot snapper, grouper, mahi, and more. They're boneless, skinless, flash frozen the same day, and individually vacuum wrapped. Pick the size filet you want, the amount you want, and checkout's easy at fastfreshseafood.com. The best thing, every fish is on sale. Fastfreshseafood.com. Caught fresh for you, delivered straight to you. Stay home and stay safe.
I'm attorney Young Kim. The financial problems caused by the coronavirus nightmare are not going away anytime soon. If you are behind on your credit card or mortgage payments, or bill collectors are harassing you, there are ways to get them off your back and legally wipe the slate clean. Call Consumer Law Attorneys at 888-99-FRESH for a free consultation. Learn how we can stop the bank and collection companies and help people in debt get a fresh start. Call 888-99-FRESH, 37374. Main office, St. Petersburg.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Lang, board-certified optometric physician and certified nutritional specialist, host of popular talk show Ask the Doctor. I've researched and developed an amazing new omega-3 product that you'll see incredible results with. It's called Fortify Super Omega-3 Max. I had one of the top Norwegian omega-3 research teams in conjunction with myself and Fortify Vitamins aid in the development of this advanced omega-3. This product is the most potent and purest triglyceride form omega-3 in the United States today. Omega-3 is great for all aspects of your health and well-being, especially in this unprecedented, challenging time. I'm giving a 25% discount with promo code RADIO during this viral pandemic. Go to my website, fortify.com. That's FORTIFEYE. Remember the EYE in Fortify. That's fortify.com. Enter the promo code RADIO to receive the 25% discount.
A Neighbor's Choice returns. I'm David Gornoski, your host. We're live. You can call in at 1-727-587-1040. That's 727-587-1040. Talking about what does our foreign policy stand for in light of the imminent announcement. Who will be the next contestant on American politics? It's your favorite show, although the script writing's getting a little weak now. We've noticed that the little tropes they trot out and all their little gimmicks and their little sub-story plot lines and all that stuff's getting a little boring. You know, they threw out this whole lockdown, pandemic, hysteria, politics narrative of we've got to shut down the country forever, and they've overplayed their hand on their golden goose, which is their control over education. And by they, I mean the mealy-mouth fake social justice that make up the McWoke social justice ideology. These people are the jailers of the people's justice. They jail our freedom, and then they tell us, they have the audacity to lecture us about what it means to be for the people's justice. These guys in the corporate press are silly. They're clowns. So what does our foreign policy stand for? Joe Online says it's been to undermine and overthrow any government that doesn't do what is in the interest of our corporate interests. All right, it's pretty close. I like that. We have in the State Department a lot of bigots, a lot of people, and there's probably good people too. But we have a lot of people that do not see human life the way a normal human being does. And we don't understand the average person in America does not understand the callous disregard for human life that is so rampant in the decision-making bureaucracies of D.C. and their crony allies in corporate America. We just cannot even begin to understand the callous disregard for human life there. And we have this tendency, the average person, to just be gullible in believing the narratives that garbage outlets like CNN and MSNBC push. They want you to believe that they are so sensitive to the plight of the vulnerable, the plight of the oppressed. But then they tell you, hey, Trump wants to pull out of Afghanistan. We're going to go stir your little mind up about Russia so that you stop Trump with public outcry. You stop Trump from occupying people of color in Afghanistan. Wait a second. How is that the same entity? You see these clowns? You see how pathetic they are when you just have somebody in the public discourse just tell you what they really are doing? I'm not making a theory. It's facts. The New York Times, NPR, Washington, Compost Pal, all these entities that want to dress, they dress themselves up like little victims. Look, I am in solidarity with victims. That's what they want you to feel all the time. And they know, and they are counting that the average person is so far removed from their sociopathic behavior, friends, that are pillaging countries for Machiavellian purposes, for nihilistic, disgusting purposes. And they're counting on the average person being so gullible because government schooling has helped make them so, that they can actually say to your face, it is a wonderful and righteous cause to vote for a corporatist, warmongering bigot like Joe Biden because his vice presidential pick is going to be a woman, and maybe a woman of color. And so therefore, they want you to literally believe that you're doing a righteous thing to vote for that ticket and to hire them to represent your interests in destroying flesh and blood children and teenagers and kids and moms with hopes and dreams and visions that they want to accomplish in their lives all over the globe. Do you see how absolutely insane this media complex is? Do you see why I'm not holding back? I'm not playing that game. Because the truth is like a lion. You set it free and it defends itself. And that's what we're going to fight for, the truth. And these fools, these clowns that want to lecture the average American and say, we, Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, all these entities, NBC, CBS, whatever, we stand for the little victims of the world. We stand for justice. And that's why we want to shill 24/7 to get you to vote for Joe Biden and their mystery contestant that's going to be revealed soon, who no doubt will perpetuate the occupation of people of color overseas. Now, think about the mental contortions that one has to do to maintain their sense of moral superiority in the left. I mean, it's pathetic. It's sad. These folks really convince themselves that they're doing something on behalf of the little person, of the victim, right? Of the oppressed person, of the person who's the underdog in history. And they're going to go vote for the same clique that pillaged Libya on behalf of wicked, wicked, evil bigots who see human life not the way you see it. How can you lie to yourself that bad? You know, the reason why it's easy for these far left folks, it's not far left, it's the mainstream left. You know why it's easy for the mainstream left to lie to themselves so bad and actually pat themselves on the back and think that they're self-righteous and morally superior for voting for warmongers like Biden and whoever, Harris, or Susan Rice, who spent their entire life just callously treating human life like nothing and destroying people of all origins and backgrounds and race and all that. All over the country, these folks in D.C., they don't see human life the way you do. They don't have empathy in that way. They see human beings as just a project for some grand, amoral, awful business. And their business is to want to play to be God. They want to pretend to be God. So they look at the things that they try to stir up, like the Arab Spring, and they say, oh, well, let's create a revolution. And then it backfires. And they say, oh, we couldn't help. At least we tried. At least we flexed our grand muscle and our grand power. Or they say, well, Assad, he was our old-time revolutionary, but let's stir that up. So they have these true believers, and then you have these nihilists that are just there to just make money off of chaos on behalf of special corporations. And these people really want you to believe. They really want you to believe that they care one iota about the suffering of an individual person. I don't think, if you think about it, how can you care about and really have empathy for someone who's killed unjustly in a police conflict here at home, and at the same time go vote for Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Susan Rice, whoever, who literally have a record of destroying people, just like George Floyd, all over this globe, with drone strikes killing people, including teenagers, U.S. citizens, with bloody coups in Ukraine, things that if you saw the video, it would scar you, the things that you're going to vote for when you vote for a Joe Biden. You are voting, you're signing your name on that stuff. And it has to eat up the left that does this. And I think the one thing that they use, right, to justify their behavior is that the right says they're for ending the wars, but as we've seen with Donald Trump, every time he tries to pull out, there's some kind of permanent state that he can't gut that just says, no, sir, we're going to stay there. You're kind of a ceremonial mayor here, actually. So you want to bring the troops home, and that's cute, but we're just going to keep them here. Thank you. Thank you for your suggestion, Mr. Mayor. That's how the real business of D.C. operates. As we can see right in front of our eyes, Trump says over and over again, get out, get out, get out. Every time he does, someone just says, hey, I don't know. I don't think so, sir. Thank you for your mayor. Maybe there's a ribbon cutting for you to cut today. Bye-bye. And the Pentagon and the real right wing continues to do what they always do, which is in the service of perpetual wannabe God, fantasies of remaking the world for some kind of disgusting idolatry. Back in a moment.
Ronald Reagan would turn over in his grave if he saw what's going on today.
Crazy things are happening.
You cannot be afraid. You've got to stand up for what you believe is right.
One thing is for sure.
You can't trust anybody.
For talk, news, and information, you can count on us.
Enough is enough. I almost blew a gasket.
Good for the country.
I know what I'm talking about.
A lot of wackos out there.
Your connection to talk about it. The all-new News Talk 1040 WHP.
Joe Biden announcing his pick for VP, California Senator Kamala Harris. She'll become his running mate. Harris is the first woman to be on the Democratic presidential ticket, as well as others.
A Democrat from California, Harris is the only black female senator. The daughter of an East Indian mother and Jamaican father, Harris graduated from Howard University in Washington and earned her law degree at University of California, Hastings. She was the first African-American woman to be elected district attorney in San Francisco, the first woman and first African-American to serve as California's attorney general.
ABC's Karen Travers reporting from Washington. Harris also becoming the first woman of color on a major party ticket after dropping out of the presidential race. early on in the primary season. Again, Joe Biden picking California Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate. The two will likely make a virtual appearance this week. It all leads up to next week's Democratic National Convention, also holding virtually. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Neighbor's Choice is back. I'm David Gornoski, your host. We're live across Florida, FM and AM. Welcome. You want to keep it at this station wherever you're listening for your hometown favorite place to go, because you're never going to get anything as interesting as what we do on this program. We've got physicists, we've got chemists, we've got rocket scientists, we got the whole package. We give you the full rundown of news and information, not just relying on the dumb tribalism that grips so much of the old, outdated, stinky media. And joining us now is a friend of the program and someone who I think is a real champion for liberty, and that is Sergeant Dan McKnight, the founder of BringOurTroopsHome.us. How you doing?
Good, David. How are you?
I'm doing great. And I just I saw your press release that you issued. And we're going to get to that in just a moment, but I wanted to get your take hot off the presses. We've got the peace champion herself, someone who's going to bring the troops home from everywhere tomorrow, Kamala Harris as the VP pick. What do you think?
Hey, the only way that she's going to bring anybody home is if her boss, the candidate for president, keels over dead. Her hands will be tied. She will have no foreign policy directive whatsoever if the Biden administration wins.
And of course, I'm being facetious. She doesn't have a record that is in any way indicative of someone who would do anything to stop the occupation of countries around the world. But you are someone who's had experience on the ground overseas in these endless conflicts, having served over there, and you have put together quite a remarkable group of veterans of all political persuasions to bring the troops home, as the name of your organization suggests. So, what do you make of this? Something that I just can't let go, because I never hear anybody talk about this, really, is you've got these clowns like Kamala Harris. She gleefully laughs at locking up, as she did in California. She would lock up parents who didn't take their kid to government school. She'd lock up, and she laughed about it when she was doing a speech about it. She thought that was so cute that she had that power to lock up a nonviolent person because they don't want to go to school. Maybe they want to learn a craft. Maybe they're just whatever. But she thought that was cute that she could lock up parents for not sending their kids to school. She also has a long record of throwing people away for long, long sentences for nonviolent crimes. And of course, she is a favorite of Hillary Clinton, who we know is the architect behind some of the worst human atrocities that have happened in the world. Things like Libya, things like Syria. So how, Sergeant Dan McKnight, how in the world can the left say that they are for social justice and for people of color's life mattering when they are supporting people who pillage people of color around the world?
Yeah, the left is no better than anybody else in these human rights issues. I'll tell you, she is the favorite and the one that's perceived as the human rights advocate because, in her words, she was bused. That's her qualification. She rode a bus to school, and that's her qualification for being pro-human rights, when we know that she locks people up for minor nonviolent offenses for extended periods of time. She criticizes President Trump for, quote-unquote, caging children at the border, but she has caged and warehoused human beings in California her entire tenure there. Yeah. She's a hypocrite and an enemy of liberty.
Well, she's the VP pick, so Biden just probably lost the election if there's any liberty left. But I want to turn to your your press release that you issued. It's you're talking about your veteran group is forewarns Republican candidates endorsed or financed by Chicken Hawk Cheney. I like that name, Chicken Hawk Cheney. Who are you referring to?
Yeah, that would be the one and only daughter of Darth Vader, Liz Cheney. I prefer to call her the Butcher of Bethesda, but I don't think that's politically correct enough for most media outlets.
Right.
So we're warning any GOP candidate for Congress who's won their primary election heading into the general to turn away from Liz Cheney and her war hawk nature. And if they've been endorsed or supported financially, to either send the money back or donate it to a veteran cause of their own choosing. And if they'll do that, we'll stay fairly neutral. But if they're willing to accept money from Liz Cheney, then Bring Our Troops Home is going to actively educate the voters in that district on that endorsement.
So what is one thing that, again, that goes back to the hypocrisy that you see from what I call the victimists, those who garb themselves in the image of being on the side of victims. We are on the side of the underdog. We're on the side of the minority. That's how the Washington Post, the New York Times, Politico, all that little corporatist garbage media, that's their whole narrative, is that, we stand on the side of the victim. And so I always wonder, why do they give such good press to someone like Liz Cheney, knowing that if she had her way, we'd be bombing and occupying people of color times 10 from where we're at now under Trump?
That's a great question. I don't know why the favor from the mainstream media towards people like Liz Cheney and Democrat Congressman Jason Crow in Colorado, those two are working together now to keep these wars going. I don't understand why anybody in America would give those two people 1 second of attention. Their record on war and warmongering and war profiteering is disgusting and despicable. And in fact, the two of them, Democrat Jason Crow and Republican Liz Cheney, co-authored an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act that stripped all money away from President Trump in his efforts to bring troops home from the endless war in Afghanistan. Every penny. And those two also sponsored a bill last year to propose a new monument for the Global War on Terror Memorial. So they want to memorialize a war that hasn't ended and take away money from ending that war. Think of that for a second. Mm-hmm. Let's build a monument to a war and then take away the ability to end that war.
And I want to reemphasize that they're hypocrites here, because Liz Cheney gets the best press from all these media outlets that say they're for Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? And so these folks, they're shilling for these warmongers, and then they want to turn around and tell the public, hey, we are on the side of the minority. We're on the side against police brutality. And you've been over there. You know that the things that the warlords are doing in Afghanistan and stuff, that would make our stomachs would churn. We've seen videos of George Floyd with the knee on his neck. I mean, I'm sure you've seen stuff that would go way, way beyond that, having been over there, right? And seeing what warlords do and what we do to back those warlords, right? And yet they can't connect that, right? It's like those people don't exist over there, both the soldiers and the people that we're occupying over there.
There's definitely a disconnect, because the stuff that we're protecting and allowing those warlords to do, the pedophile culture, the opium drug trade, the oppressed women and children, the inability for women and children to go to school and learn, we're protecting that lifestyle because we have no other mission there. And people in America can't connect the two, that we support the rights of the minority and the underdog, as you said, in America, but that doesn't extend to places where people of color actually live,
right?
Where the entire population is a person of color. And these media outlets, if you want to talk about a minority, in America, 73% of veterans support ending the war in Afghanistan, but the media won't cover that. Right. 84% of registered Republicans and Trump supporters support ending the war. 84%. You can't get 84% of anybody to agree that today's Tuesday. Mm-hmm. The media is so complicit in this ongoing war that it's frustrating and disgusting.
So I always tell people it's always convenient how the New York Times works. They'll come out with a 1619 project condemning slavery 400 years after the fact, but they'll shill for a war like Libya that unleashes millions into modern slavery, and they won't even apologize. You see how they do? They'll condemn slavery if it's 400 years in the rearview mirror. Oh, yeah, look at us. We're so self-righteous. And then they'll shill for a war like Libya that has unleashed a modern slave trade of Africans right now, living in absolute squalor on behalf of the folks like the New York Times. They are embracing slavery. They're embracing the occupation of people of color. And I think we need to hang that information around their entire brand until people are revolted by these pathetic entities that are shamelessly using their bully pulpit and their perceived free press status to perpetuate the occupation of people of color overseas.
Correct. You'll see a shift in the media. When was the last time Mitt Romney had any negative media? I'll answer that for you. It was when he was running for president as a Republican. Since that time, and he's spoken out against the president, he is the media's darling. Liz Cheney, the media darling, because of her pro-war and endless war stance. John Bolton, who the media hated, but now that he's criticizing the president, he's the darling of the media. So I ask you this. What do a war profiteer heiress in Congress, a multimillionaire snob who straps dogs to the top of his car, and a former UN ambassador with an unquenchable bloodlust all have in common? They want to continue the wars and the oppression of people in other parts of the world, keep the wars going for the profits of the war profiteers in the military-industrial complex, and they are the darlings of the United States media.
Wow. And it's so well said, and you make a good point. So you said 73% of veterans want to get out of Afghanistan. Is that right?
Correct.
And I'm sure the numbers are probably similar for a lot of the other places where we still have involvement, right? Like Yemen, and we're probably still involved in a lot of different, if they polled them, they probably don't poll those as much. But,
they do, and the numbers are very similar. The 70% in Afghanistan, 73 in Afghanistan, 70 in Iraq, 69% in Yemen and Syria. The numbers are the same across the board.
Yeah. We've really got to engage my generation, millennials, and Generation Z and younger, because we cannot allow these liars, Sergeant McKnight, we can't allow these liars to convince these young generations that they stand on the side of people of color. They do not. They are pathetic, and they are trying to what they do is they're like complicit in the bombing of people of color that doesn't need to be happening. For example, when Trump tried to pull out of Afghanistan, right? He tried to pull half the troops out, right? And then they pulled out that bogus story that was based on nothing about Putin paying the warlords or something. And there was no real evidence, and it was like basically a rumor. But they pulled that out because the New York Times was terrified that Trump would stop bombing and occupying people of color overseas. They were terrified at that thought.
Would you be surprised at all if you learned that our biggest enemy, either Russia or China, was paying a bounty on an American soldier? Would that even shock you? It wouldn't shock me, but we're more worried about them paying a bounty on a soldier than we are on our own government sending soldiers into an endless war with no mission and putting them in harm's way and continually funding this war over and over and over and over again. I'm more appalled by our own side sending soldiers into these destinations for no reason and no tactic and no strategy.
Right. Yeah. So what can folks do? I mean, one of our flagship stations we have is WHBO 1040 AM across Tampa Bay. And we've got, of course, an active, large community of military folks and military connected folks in the region of Tampa Bay. Maybe there's someone listening right now that says, hey, a veterans group that stands for America, stands for family values, stands for liberty, stands for bringing our troops home. I'd like to be a part of that. How can they be a part of that?
That's a great question. If you go to bringourtroopshome.us, when you first go to the website, a window will pop up where you can sign our petition and enter your email address and count yourself as one of our members. And we'll send you a newsletter once a month, and we'll keep you up to date on activities that we have. But more importantly, it'll build a network of veterans that we can reach out to you when we need to show up. And for instance, if we needed to go to Pennsylvania to Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick's district when he's having a public event, we could show up with 150, 200, 300 veterans and ask Republican Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick to return the blood money to Liz Cheney. We need to build this network, and we've got about 35,000 veterans in the network already, but we need more. That would be the first thing. The second thing would be, I'd say, call your congressman, especially if you have a Republican congressman. Any of our veterans, we enjoy a very special relationship with the Republican Party throughout history. The Republicans are in danger of losing that relationship with the veterans. But I would call your Republican congressman and ask him to reject the Cheney and Crow amendment to the NDAA and allow President Trump to do what he promised to do, and that's bring troops home from Afghanistan.
Wow, it's a good message, and it's something that if for folks who are not concerned with, there's a lot of people trying to make money off of people's death, like Eric Garner, and they do nothing to stop real life from being killed, especially life that shouldn't be in any harm's way. They're just nonviolent, victimless folks, and that includes a lot of the folks in Afghanistan, and that includes a lot of the folks in other places around the world that people like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden will do their very best to continue to put our boot on their necks. And we've got to say no. And all the folks listening right now, I know I've got 51% of my audience, according to Nielsen, is between the ages of 25 and 35. Do not let the stupidity from Antifa tempt you to go vote for some warmongering fools like Biden and Kamala Harris, okay? I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but you can't call yourself a social justice anti-fascist, okay? If you're between 25 and 35, you're one of those guys or ladies listening to to this show. You cannot go along and say that you're for social justice and vote for some warmongering pillagers like that. You just can't. These people are ruining people's lives around the world for profiteers. People make a lot of money off of this thing, and they hurt real heroes like Sergeant Dan McKnight, and he knows many of them who have a lot of lasting scars in many different ways, who have been misused and betrayed by foreign policy bigots like Biden and Harris. So I really appreciate what you're doing, Sergeant Dan McKnight, with bringourtroopshome.us. I want people to check it out. I think it's one of the most positive movements I've seen come around in the last few years, and I commend your efforts.
Well, thank you, David. I appreciate it.
Well, very good. We'll keep in touch. Bringourtroopshome.us is the website. Bringourtroopshome.us. Check them out, and if you're a veteran listening, sign up. Let them know. Or if you're just anybody, sign up. But particularly, I want veterans to keep connecting, because if 73% of veterans want to come home from these places, then we've got to speak up. We've got to unite veteran voices, and let's get the truth out. Back in a moment, live on A Neighbor's Choice. David Gornoski here. You probably know that it's good to own some gold. Now I want to tell you about Monetary Metals, a company started by my frequent guest, Keith Weiner. The conventional way to own gold is to buy coins at high cost and hide them at home, or pay annual fees to store them in a vault where they just sit there. Monetary Metals is different. With Monetary Metals, we'll buy gold just above spot and then put it to work so that you're earning interest, paid out not in dollars, but in more ounces of gold. To top it off, there are zero vault fees. So stop having your metal just sit there. Upgrade to Monetary Metals today and start earning interest on it. Upgrade at interestongold.com/David. That's interestongold.com/David.
Got Diacos? My name is synonymous with breast surgery. If you want better breasts, let me, Dr. Dan Diaco, help. I'm a board-certified plastic surgeon with over 20 years of experience and performed over 5,000 breast procedures. If you want perkier breasts, whether bigger or smaller, let me help. Are you tired of loose or sagging skin in your face, neck, breasts, or tummy? Let me, Dr. Dan Diaco, a board-certified plastic surgeon with 20 years of experience, help you. I use the latest technology such as Face Tight and Body Tight to both tighten skin and remove fat without scars.
Hi, this is Cheryl with Fountain View Estates, right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. I'm the sales manager at this premier manufactured home retirement resort. We have wonderful residents that enjoy spacious designer homes with all the amenities of a resort. At Fountain View Estates, we have 2 separate resort-style swimming pools, a large 16-person jacuzzi, a ballroom floor for entertaining and dancing, social clubs and fitness center, as well as activity classes. You will enjoy your new friends who have the same interests as you at Fountain View Estates. These homes are listed under $120,000. Yes, under $120,000. Right now, there is no payment until September. That's right, no payment until September. I only have 7 left as of the time of this recording. Call me, Cheryl, at 844 515-3903 or Google Fountain View Estates Tampa. Send me a message for a private tour. That's Fountain View Estates in Tampa, the area's premier manufactured home retirement resort, living like Florida is meant to be.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
A bright future starts with a healthy lifestyle.
Pinocchio, I'm a real boy!
And the Food Pyramid will help you find the right balance of everything you and your child need. To learn more, visit mypyramid.gov. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
So if they have any conscience, right now you're hearing the sound of millions of Antifa looters and angry folks who have spent their summer attacking grandmothers trying to feel tough. Right now they're crying collectively, crying at the thought that what has been their hope, which is to elect Joe Biden as an effort to defund police brutality, has now turned into Kamala Harris being the real MVP of their efforts. Someone who has spent a lifetime gleefully using her voice, her brand, that the media likes to remind you, oh, she is a daughter of immigrants. She is going to be the first woman vice president potentially. Oh my goodness, she could be the first immigrant person of color, female vice president. And that somehow excuses the fact that she's used her life to lock up people of color all over the world, all over the country, and bomb people around the world by perpetuating awful foreign policy. Awful. She is the hand-pick candidate of the Clintons. I remember seeing the stories that she was kind of Hillary's favorite. And so you see, you've got the same old. Biden, a lackey of the Obama machine. They didn't really like him, but they did the best with what they had. You have Biden, a lackey of the Obama corporatist machine, propping up big banks, destroying small business, gutting the free market, gutting our liberties. And they've got their lackey Biden. And then you've got the Clintons' lackey, Kamala Harris, someone who loves her entire life locking up poor people, people of every race, and then laughing about it when she locks up black women and all kinds of different races because they didn't have their kid in school. They didn't have their kid in government indoctrination daycare. Sick. That is sick. So you got a lot of, if Antifa people really believe in wanting to end the mass incarceration, they're weeping right now, collectively. And that's sad. But you knew that was going to happen. You knew that, guys. You can't believe in the power of statism to solve your problems. I know that a six-figure neo-Marxist that you went to school, mommy and daddy paid for it, and you went and learned from a neo-Marxist, six-figure guy or lady, that Marxism would solve all your problems. That old Uncle Marx had all your problems figured out. And you thought that you could go and intimidate grandmothers around the world, around the country, and really make something out of your life. And all you did was you got stuck with bigoted, crony corporatist Biden and Kamala Harris. My goodness. You guys are perpetuation of collective violence, and you're the perpetuation of all the institutions that you thought you were fighting against. How sad. That's pathetic. But it's okay. I'm not going to rub it in. It's just that you got to have a wake-up call. You have to hit rock bottom. And you just hit. If you are a little Antifa Foot Clan soldier cosplaying like Ninja Turtle characters out there, you just hit rock bottom today. Because you've been spending your entire time pushing and excited about a corporatist hack like Kamala Harris, and you think you're the resistance. This is why I call you guys the McWoke. You're as woke as a McDonald's burger is a healthy, organic, grass-fed steak. Give me a break. Get the heck off the stage if you got to keep on shilling for this crap. We're tired of this nonsense, man. You got to grow up. I'm talking to my own generation right now. You got to grow up. Stop thinking that you're some kind of neo-Marxist little character from Ninja Turtles. You're not. You're just a rich kid that's angry that you didn't get a job that you wanted, or maybe that you have to work for a living. And you're angry because you don't want to cultivate your talents. You've got a lot of talents there, perhaps, but you don't want to cultivate them. You want things handed to you. And it's true that the generations before you have gutted the economy, and it's right. It has been a rigged game. I agree with you. But giving more rigging power to the state isn't going to make your life better. No matter what those rich six-figure corporate communists taught you and daddy and mommy's paid for education they gave you. John online says politics inevitably leads to hypocrisy because it starts and ends with ambition for power as opposed to true principles. Very well said, John. Very well said. Politics inevitably, I like that. I'm going to say it again. Politics inevitably leads to hypocrisy because it starts and ends with ambition for power as opposed to true principles. Ambition for power as opposed to true principles. That's a good line. I like that. I emphasize that all the time. If you don't have principles guiding what you do, then you have no way to sort out the nonsense. Then you think you're a resistance and you end up voting for a Kamala Harris who has spent her entire life locking up people. Give me a break. It's a joke. You're not resisting anything but common sense. You're not resisting anything but human life that depends on you rejecting the lie that the state is your God. It is a false God, and it's crumbling under the weight of its own lies. And you have a choice. You have a choice to perpetuate that false belief in that false God, or to let it go and to turn to the master of history, Jesus, and allow his role model to change your life and allow you to let go of that awful burden of believing that the state is your God and that you can oppress other people and get away with it, because you can't. You can't hide your violence in a crowd of voters. You can't hide your perpetuation of bombing and locking people up in a crowd of voters for Biden and Harris or whoever clown you vote for next. So just let go of that lie. Just let it go. Enjoying the free world. Join the world of adults that have given up in the illusion, that stupid fantasy that the state is our God. They are not our God. They're a false idol, and their days are coming to an end that they can continue their lie. I'm David Gornoski. Godspeed.